Hey everyone, Adam here. Hope everyone's doing well. Obviously, I'm communicating to you from some time in the distant past. You can tell by how much shorter my beard and my hair are compared to the last time we spoke. So, clearly, some sort of time travel must be the only explanation. Or maybe I just trimmed my beard and cut my hair. Such a stupid joke. Who wrote the script? I'm firing them. I'm so sick of this silly, stupid nonsense in every video. Let's see here. Written by. Son of. I must have been drunk. How else could I have thought that was funny? Screw it. Skipping the intro. Alright, so here's the container in all of its glory. Got ourselves a Triton, god of the sea, because nothing screams mythical titan like rusty steel box. And speaking of rust, this is obviously a used container. It's almost 13 years old. It was manufactured in December 2010. But for a used container, I think it's in pretty good shape. It's got some dents. Well, it's got a lot of dents. It's actually dented just all the way across on both sides. But structurally, it's fine. Honestly, you can't even really notice them that much. Little bit of rust. There's really not that much rust on it. Is that even? There, we got some rust here. And that's because they primed it with a zinc coating before they painted it. So I've only got some rust spots where the paint and primer were scraped off. It's not a big deal. I'll just put some rust convert on it, and then I'm going to repaint the entire container. This is a high cube container, 9.5 feet. I might as well just walk you around it here. And you can see they let you know how dangerous it is because it's so tall. Now, I assume that's for passing under bridges and stuff like that. Oh, and I just remembered, I want to give a free plug to the company I bought it from. That's their info right there. Family-owned business, very nice people, and the delivery guy was great. He really went above and beyond to get the container where I needed it. He almost couldn't get it here because the road and the bridge were too narrow, but he just, plowed through it and managed to make it work somehow. It actually took an hour to get it here, even though it's only 200 or 300 yards from my gate. So that's what a challenge it was. Now, the reason I'm calling this our future warehouse is because, well, I'm pretentious. But it's also because when I'm all done with this thing, it's going to be more than just a storage container with a bunch of stuff crammed in it like it is right now. The plan is it's going to be just like walking down an aisle at, oh, big echo there. Just like walking down an aisle at Home Depot or Lowe's. Every kind of fastener, boards, sheet metal, adhesives, paint, etc., etc. Alright, so now let's talk about the big picture just for a moment here. So this area is eventually going to be what I'm calling the container complex. And this is the first future building in that complex. So again, this is going to be the warehouse. Over here to the right, I'm going to have another container. That's going to be the workshop. and then another one over here to the left. That's going to be the gym. And then on the second story, I'm going to have the bistro, the arcade, and the nightclub. And then on the third story, I'm going to have the day spa, atrium, and indoor shuffleboard court. Obviously, I'm just kidding, but I'm serious about the gym and the workshop. I'm also going to turn the conversion of this container into my warehouse, into another build series, just like the build series for the house back there. So stay tuned for that. I'll show you the whole process as I move through it every step of the way. Now, it was really important for me to get a high cube. So again, if you don't know, it's a 1.5 feet taller than your standard 8-foot container. So it's 9.5 feet tall from bottom to top. One reason that was important to me is because this container is doubling as a privacy wall. So there are actually 2 other properties ahead of me that you can't see because they're occluded by the container. And they're also blocked out from the house up there. Well, at least the nearest one is. So that was one reason for the high cube. Now I'll show you the other reason. I've got the perfect example right in here. The extra height allows me to store long materials vertically, which is just a much more efficient use of the space. If I stored everything horizontally, I'd use up the length of the container quickly, and I'd end up with a lot of wasted vertical space. So yeah, that was the idea there, and I'll show you my plans so far. So in this area here, so right here and right there, I'm gonna build vertical storage bins, perhaps for lack of a better term. You can imagine short partitions that prevent the materials from sliding forward or tipping over. And that way I can cram a lot of stuff in a tight spot. That's what she said. Then along this wall, all the way along here, I'm going to build some big racks, just a little more than 4 feet high, probably about 2 feet deep. And Taryn actually, this reminds me, Taryn said something wise to me right before we got the container. I was talking about building racks all the way up to the ceiling, but she said, yeah, and everything above 6 feet is going to be all the stuff that you never use and you completely forget about. Out of sight, out of mind. And I think she's right, because that's what happened with the storage loft in our tiny house. I don't even remember everything that's up there anymore. There's stuff that's been up there for 5 years. So yeah, just gonna go up to about, just a little below eye level, and 4.5 feet. Then along this wall, I'm going to put up a bunch of shelving and pegboards, and I'm also going to build out at least 2 more larger vertical bins for storing plywood and other large sheet goods vertically, because I'm going to need that. And this wall, this is the west facing wall. I don't need to get into all the science right now because this will come up in a future video. But this wall I'm going to actually frame out, insulate, and sheathe. So that's why this is the wall that's going to get the shelves and the pegboards. And then over here, about 3 feet in from the doors, I'm going to build a wall, just a normal wall with a sliding glass door in it. And that way I can leave half the slider open, have a screen, and during the summer that will allow a lot more air to flow in and out of the container. And I'm going to recess it so that this area, this first few feet, also, by the way, I need to get a doormat because it gets very dirty and dusty in here. But this first few feet can basically be a mud room. So if we've got a bunch of mud on our boots or something, we can kick them off before we walk in there and track a bunch of filth in. And I'm also going to store my landscaping tools right here near the front, because those are also typically pretty dirty, and I use them a lot, so that way I can just quickly grab them without having to go all the way in the container. And I'm also going to set it back so that I don't have to put a rain screen on the wall. I can just put up plywood and that'll be fine. And if we get a really heavy rainstorm with a lot of wind-driven rain, I'm just going to close the container doors. So yeah, I think that pretty much covers it for now. Oh, I forgot to mention I'm also going to put lights in here. But again, we'll see that in a future video. So yeah, that's the plan for now. I'm excited. And I guess lastly, I'll just say, I know it might seem like overkill to build it out and really stock it up like a warehouse. But even after I'm finished with that house, I'm still going to be working on it for years. And I'm also building at least another 5 buildings. So I really do need a well-organized, large space where, I just kind of have everything that I need right there. And also, I guess that's another reason that I like calling this a warehouse, is because this thing really is massive, 2,700 cubic feet. I've already got well over 100 boards, a few dozen sheets of corrugated steel, and a bunch of other miscellaneous stuff in here. And I've hardly used up any of the space. And this is only about 60% of the stuff I already have that's just been lying around the property that needs to be brought in here. So yeah, it's gonna be well stocked. Anyway, yeah, I think that does it, and I will see everyone in the next video. Peace.